Let's take another breath. This month's theme has been appreciation. And as we start to enter into this Thanksgiving season of the year, my topic today is appreciation multiplies life's goodness. My appreciation multiplies life's goodness. There is a definition that we've been working with throughout this month. It comes from those spirit downloads. This isn't published yet, but it is a definition of gratitude. And it says, gratitude is where your appreciation relishes in the thoroughness of the journey. Gratitude is where your appreciation relishes in the thoroughness of the journey. That's when you get into that sense of the gratitude. When your appreciation isn't picking and choosing what it appreciates. There's a thoroughness of the journey. Okay? And I want to emphasize the journey. The journey is the process. Okay? The journey isn't just every single thing that happens on it. So let's say, for example, if you take a vacation, you went on a journey. Okay? You may not have liked every single thing that happened on the vacation. You might not have liked that your luggage got lost and this thing, and you had to change. It's like there's all kind of little things that could get in the way of you having the experience that you thought that you wanted to happen, to have happen. But if you take it in its totality and have appreciation for the whole trip, not just every little thing that happened, and you find that the more distance you get from it, that stuff that made you so crazy in that moment, you can tolerate a little later. You were just like in your moment of upset. And we have this tendency to want to, in the moment, use our sensory perception to decide if I like this thing or not. Is this thing making me happy or not? And then we condition our appreciation on happiness. You don't want to do that, ever. See, we make happiness very transactional. We do. We make happiness an if-then sequence. If this happens, then I'm happy. Kind of like this cause and effect. I heard somebody, a motivational speaker, say a couple of days ago, and the timing was just incredible. I heard this on YouTube. He said, happiness is a quid pro quo. That timing was just incredible, isn't it? With the impeachment hearings, Trump impeachment hearings, is that we make happiness this, if this happens, then. This if-then. But happy, it comes from that root word, English word, hap, circumstance. We're not talking about liking all of the circumstances. What we're saying is that there's life. And all the time in life, everything is going on simultaneously. I want you to listen to what I'm saying. It isn't like there's good times and there's bad times. There's no time that is exclusively anything. At this very moment, there are people being born and there are people dying. At this very moment, there are people who are being injured and there are people who are being healed. this very moment, there are people who are breaking up and fighting, and there are people who are reconciling. At this very moment, there are people who are starving, and there are people who are overindulgent at this very moment, all happening simultaneously. Are you with me? So if you're waiting to have appreciation until it's all this under this banner, you're going to be waiting. You're going to be waiting a long time. If you're waiting for your appreciation when everything's all right with your kids, and everything's all right with your money, and everything's all right with the politics, and everything's all right with your body, you're going to be waiting. I mean, like, really waiting. I just mentioned this a couple of days ago. This was years and years ago when I was in college. There was a play that we had to see called Waiting for Godot. I thought I was going to lose my mind. This play is so agonizingly slow that it makes you feel all of the drama and the trauma of this lead character who's just waiting for life. But that's what we do. And what are you waiting for? Listen to what I'm saying. What are you waiting for? Everything that can be is here now. Listen to what I just said. Everything that can be is here now. There is no creativity in you later that isn't in you now. There's no love in you later that isn't in you now. It's all here now. It's just a question of when do we choose to recognize it? When do we choose to express it? Tomorrow never comes. You will never live a moment that is tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes. Any moment you are in is today. Now is the only moment you ever have. You cannot take action tomorrow. You can't act tomorrow. Really listen, feel that. You cannot take action tomorrow. Whenever you act, it's now. So we're waiting for the now moment to take action, but your action makes it now. Listen to what I just said. We're waiting for some now moment to appear. Some like right time. We're getting here towards the end of the year. And we start making our resolutions. And we start thinking about all the things that we want to do and the things that we want to have happen. And it's like we're looking at that clock, waiting for the days to tick off till that new year starts. Whose new year? There's no such thing really as a new year. It is a made-up human construct of what we put on a calendar, but whose calendar? It's probably always somebody's new year somewhere. In somebody's tradition. I remember really thinking about this just a couple of weeks ago when our time changed. And we went from daylight savings times back to standard time. And I'm like looking at my phone to confirm what I thought was going to happen, like 1:58, 1:59, and just when it would be 2 o'clock, it went back to 1 o'clock. And I thought to myself, that's so interesting. Just the math in my head. You got to live 1 a.m. this day twice. So like in a court of law or something, like if you had to prove something that like happened at a, like which 1 a.m.? No, I'm really serious. You know, I have friends around the world. And it can be the craziest thing in the world just figuring out what time to Skype. You say, well, you know, 7 o'clock today. Well, who's today? Is it your today or my today? Because that's your tomorrow. No, I'm really serious. What are we waiting for? You hear me say all the time, your experience is not what happens. It's how you name what happens. It isn't what happens. It's how you name what happens. Same set of circumstances, same set of facts. If all of a sudden the center doors open and 15 puppies just ran through the door and raced all around here, up underneath the pews, and everybody's attention just went to that. And somehow or another, they were all corralled and ushered back out the door. What just happened? Now, some people are going to say, wow, wasn't that the greatest thing in the world? Didn't you see all those puppies? And somebody else is going to be, where in the world did all those dogs come from? Disrupting the service. Who let the dogs in? Same circumstance, but a completely different experience. Listen to what I'm saying. A completely different experience. In Scripture, it always makes this difference between what we would call like the earth and the planet and the world. See, the earth and the planet is the physical. You know, it's like the actual environment, but the world is man-made. The world is the constellation of our collective consciousness. It's all of our beliefs. It's the current events. It's this stuff that's happening. So there'll be all of these admonitions against identifying too much with that. Jesus described it as being in the world, but not of it. You're living in all of these circumstances and conditions, but you didn't come out of it. And it's interesting because that Greek word of, the Greek word ek that's being translated as of, usually has a spatial dimension to it. And a more accurate translation would probably be, you're in this world, but not from it. You're in it, not of it. You're in it, but you're not from it. You are from something else. Or as it says in Romans, be not conformed to this world. Be not conformed to this age, but be ye transformed transformed by the renewing of your mind. So we can have billions of people who are all in this planet, but you can have two people standing side by side, living in completely different worlds. And I don't know if I've ever seen it more pronounced than in the socio-political environment we're in now. With the advent of social media and news and information distribution and the algorithms that keep people locked within the same information that they keep getting, that keeps reinforcing. And all of a sudden I'm hearing, round and around and around she goes, where the words go and nobody knows. What's that, the Temptation song or whatnot? Ball of Confusion, I think it was called. I don't know where all this is going. It's like I honestly don't. But it is so clear how you create your world reality. You create it. And that's where you live. And the more appreciation you can bring to the table, the sweeter that life experience appears to be. And that happens on two levels. On the one hand, the appreciation is like a decoder. It's like X-ray vision. It's like glasses that allow you to pierce through stuff and see what otherwise you would have missed. We allow the drama to eclipse the goodness so that our attention is focused out here on the drama and we can't see the underlying goodness. So that's one way that our appreciation multiplies the goodness. It enables us to perceive it. We can see it more. And on the other hand, your appreciation helps to multiply the goodness because your appreciation helps to create it. There's a relationship we know of in quantum physics between the observer and the observed. And we think sometimes that when we see something, it already exists and then we see it. But it also works the other way. We conceive something in our mind and then that's what materializes and manifests. So let's say, for example, you are suffering from some kind of physical condition that's very challenging to you. Our tendency would be to condemn our body, to feel like maybe we've been betrayed by our health, to get into like worry or fear. And our focus with not being happy with the illness prevents us from acknowledging and appreciating the thoroughness of our body, the thoroughness of our journey of life in this human vessel. But it has been proven time and time again that if you shift into some appreciation, your health improves. If you shift into some appreciation, it quickens a vibratory frequency within you. It elevates your chi energy. Okay, everything is energy. We think of life as forms, but life's not the forms. Life is the energy. The forms are coming and going. And it isn't really that we're manipulating the forms, it's that we are shifting the energy that's up underneath it. So when your body is experiencing these illnesses, it's not just that something has intruded in it or something has happened to it. It's that the chi energy of health has gone down. It's like when our immune system goes down or our immune system builds up. And depending upon the level of the frequency of your immune system, you become more susceptible. You become more susceptible to outside stuff. It's the same way in every area of our life. A lack of appreciation drops your spiritual immune system. When you don't have appreciation, your life chi force starts to go down. When your immune system is down, you are susceptible. That's a very strong word. Susceptible means likely to be influenced by. When your physical immune system is up, you can be around people coughing and sneezing and having colds, and it doesn't bother you. If your immune system is down and you're around people coughing and sneezing and all of the rest of that, there's a good chance you're going to catch and multiply whatever those germs or viruses or things there that they've got coughing and floating around. Consciousness is communicable. We are coughing up and spitting up and spewing consciousness. It might as well be germs and viruses all over the place. Okay? And when your life force, your appreciation is low, your spiritual chi is low, you are more susceptible to all of the secondhand consciousness you are subjected to. We are dying from secondhand consciousness. You don't have to smoke it. We're living in it. We're breathing it in. You don't have to inhale it in order for it to get in you. It's all around us. So the appreciation does two things in terms of multiplying life's goodness. One, it protects you. Okay? So you're not as vulnerable to all of the secondhand consciousness. And two, you stop spewing it so much. Okay? You stop being a contributing factor to the doom and the gloom and the negativity and the judgment and all of the rest of that. You recalibrate. You clean up the air. You clean up the environment. Appreciation is like taking a good colon cleanse. You get the crap out. This may sound really crass, and I don't know why I'm saying it now. It's probably highly inappropriate. But I don't even remember what conference it was. I was speaking at one of the LGBT, conferences. This was like decades ago. And I remember saying, what our movement needs is a movement. We need one big enema and get over it so that we can reclaim our power. We are constipated with all of this like negativity and lack of limitation consciousness. Let it flow. Let it flow. Get some appreciation up in there so that you can see the beauty, so that you can experience the beauty, so you can take the Velcro, the sticky stuff off of us that makes the stuff stick. Otherwise, you can see and you just like, just blow it, just let it roll on by. Like remember Michael said, this guy called him and said, you know, Reverend Michael, I'm going through hell. He said, just keep on going, brother. Just the journey. Don't set up camp. Going through hell is part of the journey. Don't set up camp. Don't build your house there. Keep on going. You are not promised a rose garden. If you do your spiritual work and your practice and you live a good life and all the rest of that, it doesn't make you exempt from the wind and the rain. You're going to go up against everything everybody else goes up against. Death, illness, relationship breakups, economics. You don't get exempt. The only thing spiritual traditions will promise you is resilience. They will promise you transformation. They will promise you rejuvenation. They will promise you life. Because that's how life works. Life nature is not exempt from hurricanes and floods and all the rest. But it will bounce back. It will rejuvenate. It will regenerate. Will it look like it looked before? No. It never does. Let it go. It's never going to come back the way that it was. But it'll be something. And I'll end on this. There was a redwood that we had to cut down. It's right on the border here, the fence between our property and the property next door. And it hurt me to my heart to have to do that. And we did everything that we could, you know, the arborist and all the rest of that. And you can't just cut down a redwood in Santa Cruz. You know, I mean, there's got to be all the approval and everything else. And redwoods, they're very, very tall, but they don't have deep roots. They live in community. So their root structure is very intertwined. If you've ever had a chance to see that, we have a lot of areas here where the cliffs are sheared, and you can actually see that. The roots are as big as trees, the way they're interlocking. Well, the way this area got cleared out, these redwoods are standing on their own. So it didn't have family. It didn't have support. It didn't have anything to, like, pull it and keep it up. And it was obviously going to fall. And it would have cut across the driveway and fallen on the administrative building, and like who knows at what time. Who knows at what time. And it was starting to come like on a rainy season or so. It was probably this time last year probably. And when it got cut, it didn't get all the way down to the roots, but it got cut, but the stump was still there. And I used to go sometimes and put my hand on it because it was so live and vibrant. And I just kept begging forgiveness, literally, because I started to ask myself, when did I become that person where the property and making sure stuff wasn't crushed was like more important than the tree? But it was the fact that I knew people could just have easily been injured, and it was the people part, not the property part, that made me make that decision. But it's hard sometimes going up against stuff. If you look out there now, you would have absolutely no idea. I don't even know the technical name for it, but like the sprout things that come out have so completely covered that stump. So the stump was probably 3 feet, 4 feet, maybe. These sprouts are what, like 8, 9 feet, like tall or something like that? And it's like this huge, huge bush that is so alive, and it's so vibrant. And every time I look at that, it just reminds me life will not be denied. And even though, no, I didn't like that part of the journey of having to cut that tree down, and yet that tree has been a teacher to me in its resilience and a whole nother appreciation for life. And I guarantee you it will be this way. That if you love everything, appreciate it, even as you're losing it or letting it go, there will be blessings that keep rebounding. I'm telling you what I know. Take a breath. So there was a song that was sung earlier in our service by Sarah Ledbetter. I don't even know the exact name, but Fish Leader. I'm sorry, Fish Leader. About trust, and it just hit me so at my heart. I felt like we needed bookends. We needed to end with that as well. So our prayer is going to be in music, and I invite you to just sit in. Don't just be a voyeur listening. Let it be your prayer.
I lay down my load. Yes, I lay down my load. I lay down my load at your feet. And I know that you'll care. Yes, I know that you care. I know that you care. You take good care of me. And so I trust in the Lord. I trust and let go. I trust. Oh, I trust in the wine. lay down my load. Yes, I lay down my load. I lay down my load at your feet, and I know that you'll care. Yes, I know that you care. I know that you care. Oh, you take good care of me. And so I trust in the flow. I trust, and I let go. I trust, trust in the one. Oh, I trust in the flow. I trust and I let go. I trust in the one, oh, the one. I trust in the one. I trust in the one.
Yes. That was good. Thank you, Sarah.